Good morning. Today we are switching gears a little bit. We are writing equations in function form. So what does function form really mean? A function form means we are really solving our equation for the letter y. Instead of having just one letter, like y or x, we now have both in the equation. But we don't care about x, we just need to move it to the other side so that y is all by itself, so that we have y equals and then something on the other side. Now I put a little brain up here because we already know how to solve 1 and 2-step equations. We know how to solve for one variable like x. And we also know how to solve multi-step equations. We're taking all of those skills and applying them here. We just now have two letters. So if we want y all by itself, we're going to follow the same steps we've been doing. How do I move this 6x over to the other side? Well, the whole thing is positive, so the opposite would be to subtract 6x. Now eliminate those. 6 minus 6 is 0, so we just have the letter y. And we can't combine a 4 with an x. That's why I kind of wrote them off the side to each other. But we always want to write our x's first. Now, yes, 4 minus 6x would be an appropriate answer, but we always want to write our x's first. It'll help us out later. So I'm going to write negative 6x. And then this 4 right here is a positive 4, so it would be plus 4. That is our answer. We're not going to have one number for an answer. We're going to have some x's and then some number added together. Let's try this next one the same way. We want y all by itself. We need to move whatever is on the same side as the y to the other side. So it doesn't matter which one you move first. I'm going to move the 4x. It's a negative 4x, so to move it over to the right, I need to add 4x. Add 4x. So we have y. We also have a minus 9 over here. And 0 plus 4x, 0 is just 0, so we just have 4x. If you want to write plus 0, you can. And then last, we want y all by itself, so we need to get rid of this negative 9. The opposite of negative 9 would be adding 9. Notice I wrote it to the side a little bit because I can't combine an x with a 9. So those are gone. We have y equals 4x plus 9. That is our answer. We cannot add those together. It's like combining apples and oranges. They are different. So let's try a couple more. Draw your line down. We want to solve for y. So leave these y's here. How do I move the 18 to the other side? Well, right now it's a positive, so I need to subtract 18. Those eliminate. We have negative 2y. And we can't combine those, so write them separate. 4x minus 18. Now this is where it gets a little tricky. We want y all by itself, and I can see that this is multiplied. So I know I need to divide by negative 2. But if I'm dividing by a negative here, on this side, let me just write this a little bit nicer. If I'm going to divide by negative 2 here, I also have to divide every single number by negative 2. So those eliminate. We have y. Here we have 4 divided by 2. It's negative, so it would be negative 2. Then there's the letter x. All I did was divide 4 divided by 2. And then same thing here. Negative 18 divided by negative 2. Well, two negatives make a positive, and 18 divided by 2 is 9. If this is a little bit confusing, make sure to pause it, write down your steps before you keep going. Now this one, draw our line down. We want to get y all by itself, so I'm going to move this 4x. It's a positive, so I'm going to subtract 4x. Those eliminate. We have a negative y. And then write your x's first, remember, negative 4x. And then plus 10 because this is a positive. Now it looks like y is all by itself, but this is really, remember, a negative 1y. To get rid of that negative, we need to divide by negative 1. Divide every single number by negative 1. So 1 over 1 just cancels out. We have y. Two negatives multiply or divide to make a positive. 4 divided by 1 is still just 4, so 4x. 10 divided by negative 1 is negative 10. That is our answer. We have some x's and just a number. Alright, I would like you to try just this one on your own, and then check to see if you got it right. I'm going to draw my line down, leave the y's here. I want to move the x's to the other side, so I'm going to subtract 6x. Draw your line. 6 minus 6 is 0, so there's no x's left. We have negative 3y. Remember to write your x term first, negative 6x, and then plus 12. We can't combine those because one has an x and one doesn't. They're different. And then last, the opposite of multiplying by negative 3 is to divide by negative 3. We're dividing every single number by negative 3. So 3 over 3 makes 1. We have 1y, or just y. 2 negatives multiply to make a positive. 6 divided by 3 is 2x. And 12 divided by negative 3 is going to give us a negative 4. 12 divided by 3 is 4, but it's negative. That's our answer. Y is all by itself. Now this one's a little bit tricky. I'm going to draw my line down. We have 4 terms this time. That's okay. We still want y by itself. It doesn't matter which number you move first. I'm going to move the x's. I'm going to subtract 4x on both sides. So those are gone. We have negative 2y minus 3. And I'm going to write my x's first. Negative 4x plus 9. Just write your x's first and then your number. Now I still need y by itself, so I'll move that negative 3. I'm going to add 3. But I can't combine it with the x's. I can only combine it with the 9. So that's why I'm going to put it underneath the 9. So I have negative 2y. And then we have negative 4x plus 9 plus 3 is 12. And then last, the opposite of multiply is divide. Divide every term, every number, by negative 2. So negative 4 divided by negative 2, well, 4 divided by 2 is 2x. 2 negatives make a positive. And then 12 divided by negative 2 is going to be a negative. They don't get along. 12 divided by 2 is 6. And there's our answer. Alright, here's a couple more. Same thing, here's our y. We need to get y all by itself. These x's, though, we need to move to the other side. The opposite of subtracting 3x would be adding 3x. And there are already some x's over here, so we're going to combine them with those x's that are already there. So we have 4y. 7 plus 3 would give us 10x, and then just that minus 8. We didn't do anything with the 8, just brought it down. And then we want to get the 4 or the y by itself. So the opposite of multiply is divide. Now this one is a little bit different because 10 divided by 4 is not going to be a nice number. However, we can simplify 10 over 4. We can divide them both by 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So we can just leave that as 5 over 2x. Always just leave it as a fraction if it's with the x. Don't convert it to a decimal. And then minus 8 divided by 4, which is 2. That is our answer. Same thing here. Get y all by itself. First I'm going to get rid of this 2. I'm going to subtract 2. Notice I put it under the 8 because that's just a number. We can combine those. We can't combine with 2 with an x. So we have 6y. This 3x I just wrote again, negative 3x. And 8 minus 2 is 6. Last, the opposite of multiply by 6 is divide by 6. So we have y equals, here we have negative 3 over 6. We can simplify that. Divide by 3 would give us a negative 1 over 2. So negative 1/2 x. And then plus 6 over 6 is just 1. Again, all I did was simplify my fraction. It doesn't matter if the x is on the top or next to the fraction. I believe this is our last problem. Yep. This one is the same type of problem, but instead of solving for y, we're just going to solve for a different letter. It says, solve the formula for the indicated variable, whichever one they tell us. Then evaluate or solve the rewritten formula for the given values. The area A of a triangle is given by the formula A equals base times height divided by 2. where b is the base and h is the height. Part A first, solve the formula for the height. So I'm just going to rewrite this down there. A equals BH over 2. Now if I want to get h all by itself, first I need to get rid of this division. The opposite of dividing by 2 would be multiplying by 2. 2 over 2 cancels out and leaves us with just b times h. And 2 times a is just 2a. We don't know what those numbers are or those letters. We're just leaving them there. And then last, if we want h by itself, just like if we were solving a problem and we had x, we wanted x, the opposite of multiplying by 2 would be dividing by 2. That's the same thing we're doing here with b. The opposite of multiplying by b would be dividing by b. b over b cancels out like 2 over 2 cancels out. And we are just left with h equals 2a over b, whatever 2a over b is. We don't know. Our goal was to get h by itself. That's what we did. We don't care what's on this other side, as long as everything else is over there. Then part B, it says use the rewritten formula. Okay, so this formula, I'm going to rewrite it. 2a over b equals h. To find the height, h, of the triangle shown, which has an area of 64.4 square meters. And if we look at our picture here, they also tell us that our base is 14. So let's plug those in. 2 times a, and a is our area, 64.4, divided by b, which is 14. That should give us h. So first, I'm going to just plug in my calculator. 2 times 64.4, and I get 128.8, but I need to divide it by 14. And in my calculator, that gives me 9.2. 9.2 m is for meters. Alright, that is it. We have learned how to solve for a letter if we have more than one letter, such as x and y.